Welcome to the No Line Podcast, the podcast dedicated to responsible gaming. Hosted by Philip Beer. No Line is the podcast where all bets are even. We play no favorites. The best bet is the responsible one. Here's our host, Philip Beer.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Philip Beer with the No Line Podcast, a podcast dedicated to responsible gaming. And today's guest is Rasmus Kjærgaard from Mindway AI. Raz, welcome.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. I enjoyed a recent article about you and Mindway in the New York Times, and it seems like your company has a lot of traction right now. Let's learn a little bit more about Mindway. What is Mindway and what is neuroimaging?
Well, Mindway is a company 100% focused and dedicated to empowering gambling operators to enhance player protection. We do this with our innovative solutions and knowledge around responsible gambling. We are a scientific-based company spin out of a university here in Denmark from Aarhus, Denmark, and we provide our software and know-how based on the combination of neuroscience, neuroimaging, AI, machine learning, and human experts assessments.
Raz, what inspired you and your company to be involved in responsible gaming? After all, you're in Denmark, not known as a gaming or gambling capital. How did this happen? What was the inspiration?
Well, everything started when our professor and co-founder Kim Moritzen got the idea, going back to neuroimaging, got the idea to try to actually in another company try to use scanning pictures of brains and to train an algorithm to support doctors' decision making in reading brain scans. And actually, this idea was then transferred into a similar setup, what we today call our virtual psychologist, where we actually use human expert psychologists in the field of responsible gambling and clinics and so on, and build their assessments directly into an algorithm, which we then replicate for a much more accurate, much earlier, and much more sophisticated at-risk and problematic gambling behavior detection in our algorithm.
So we're going to learn in a moment just where Mindway is being used, but tell us briefly, what is Game Scanner and what is Gamelyze?
Well, Game Scanner is a sophisticated detection automated solution based on the combination of AI algorithm utilizing big data analysis and finding patterns in combination with human experts assessments to become a virtual psychologist that on also very large customer databases give a very comprehensive detection and reporting on each and every customer in the customer database.
And then Roz, what is Gamelyze?
Gamelyze is a reinvention of self-testing. Typically, self-tests are done by questionnaires. Gamelyze is a gamification of self-test as a card game, more engaging, more proactive, more actionable than questionnaires, more individualized, giving the user specific advice based on the decision making when gambling, which is actually what we measure during the test.
Fantastic. Where is Mindway currently being used?
Mindway is currently being used in a lot of different jurisdictions, with the highly regulated markets as over here in Europe, in UK, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, and also to some extent already in the US. We deploy currently our game scanner with a major US sports operator. Gamelyze is already deployed with on a number of websites.
Excellent. Can you actually mention where it's being used, which property or which operator?
Well, we are majority owned by Better Collective, the major sports media company, and all their brand sites have deployed Gamelyze, also including, I can't remember all of them, but for instance, Roto Grinders and bettingexpert.com.
What are the fees, or how do you get paid for using your service?
Well, it depends on the solution, but in general, I would say that for when it comes to the game scanner, it's we have a fee of um, per active player per month. So you, as an operator, pay a little fee to kind of protect your customers in that regard, and that is definitely less expensive than one would think. And in my opinion, it has to be compared against the internal cost of developing similar functionality, which you actually are, especially over here in Europe, already very much obliged to. I am also thinking that will be the case onwards in the US.
What is the industry reaction so far to Mindway?
Most often, luckily, we are seen as the good guys in the sense that we provide solutions to tricky operational issues, and also to regulatory requirements that operators meet in especially European jurisdictions, but that will come to the US also. I guess we have already seen the movement in the New Jersey lately. So the reaction is that we come with a combination of sophisticated tech based on science, um, solving tasks and projects that operators, due to the fact that their core business is to be operators, are actually having challenges solving internally themselves.
And you've had some great successes along the way so far. I mean, after all, just a few months ago, you were featured in the New York Times. Not to mention the awards you are receiving, and the media is definitely embracing this
Yeah.
story. For those watching, they could only dream of having this kind of PR. What's your secret?
I think the secret lies in first and foremost the solutions. So obviously, what differentiates us from others is that we have this combination of sophisticated tech, AI, combination with human experts, and on a very high scientific level. And then, of course, network is key in this industry, and the rest is, and I would say, hard work, very hard work,
Well, you guys are definitely
persistence.
hustling over there. What's your proudest moment so far?
Obviously, the article in New York Times is definitely a proud moment. Another proud moment is winning double at last year's Global Regulatory Awards by Vixio. So fingers crossed, we hope that we will be able to win at least one of those again. The reason for this is we have won a lot of different awards, but the Global Regulatory Awards are kind of acknowledgement for and appraisals from industry peers in this niche of responsible gambling and sustainable gambling. But I would say every time my team celebrates a new award is also proud moments, definitely.
Hey, Roz, you said responsible gambling. Is it responsible gambling or is it responsible gaming? Or are they two different things? Which one should the industry be using universally?
That is a great question because actually in some jurisdictions you will not even call it responsible gambling because you can't that they kind of contradict. So in some jurisdictions, actually, the pronunciation is sustainable gambling. So in my opinion, the word is, you could also call it player protection. So in my opinion, it's not the wording, it's the actions you take. It's actually whether you take actions or not as an operator. The most in most jurisdictions there are definitely a majority of operators talking more than acting currently. Uh, Obviously, we see a movement in this changing, but in my point of view, most of this movement is led by regulation. So operators tend to talk to us if they have um, 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 issues regarding fulfilling regulation, which we can help them do.
So what
But
label?
may I just add a little bit more? I would, in the future, I would really hope that operators saw the opportunity in on the image side, both internally towards employees and externally towards the market in general, and also see it as a great opportunity, because if we can find problematic gamblers or problem gamblers or at-risk gamblers earlier, supporting much more individualized, much more sophisticated messaging, then actually we could get the gambler to stay on a more sustainable level and easing the pressure on the most severe cases. I fully understand that can be tricky, seen from an American perspective with a very new market. I also have the understanding that a lot of operators are struggling with coming from red to black numbers. So obviously, that is a balance. But I'm pretty sure that it would be a good business case that we could get a sustainable gambling. At least that's our experience from a lot of different European operators.
Fantastic. What do you see in regard to trends right now related to responsible gambling around the world?
Well, over here in Europe, where we have more regulation on detection and customer interaction than you have currently in the US so far, at least to our understanding, is that we see a movement towards more regulation, also on in a more detailed way, and that is, in my opinion, potentially the only way to enhance this to a level where you have a situation just like in a car. You would never dream of taking a ride in a car without a lane keeping assistant, but operators provide solutions without safety systems, and we are kind of provider of such safety systems. Latest this week, actually, UK put into force, partly at least, some of it is postponed, but partly a very high enhancement on detection and customer interaction, which we accommodate already. I also see, as I referred to, New Jersey has announced the first part of an enhancement on detection, and I'm pretty sure that this is the train taking off from the platform in the US in this regard. But we are ready. We are ready to help, and we can definitely accommodate what is needed in the US. If not today, then we will when it's needed.
Raz, you're at G2E, you're driving down the strip in Las Vegas. There's a big billboard up about responsible gambling. What's on the billboard?
Well, I would consider a message in a way like it's okay to take a pause when you gamble. It's okay to stop if you're not feeling well, or messages in that region would be something I would love to see in the.
Well, Raz, thanks very much. All your contact info is listed in the description to this episode. Whether you're on YouTube or iTunes, you're going to find all your links, your website. Farewell to everyone.
Thanks for listening to the No Line Podcast, hosted by Philip Beer. For a complete list of past episodes, visit iTunes or www.nolinepodcast.com. That's www.nolinepodcast.com. Interested in being a guest on the No Line Podcast or sharing your organization's responsible gaming story? Send an email to philip@nolinemedia.com. The No Line Podcast is committed to responsible gaming. The No Line Podcast is a Philip James Media production.